Good afternoon, and thank you for coming here this afternoon. The Arizona Department of Public Safety is a proud and venerable organization with a storied past. Most of the employees serve Arizona with pride and integrity. Whether sworn or professional staff, each of us is held to a higher standard as a member of the Arizona Department of Public Safety. We are keenly aware of our position in society, that we operate with public trust and sentiment as our highest priorities. When one of our own betrays public trust or breaks the law, we respond swiftly and without regret. We are as open and as transparent as the law allows. To that end, that is why we are here today to talk about one of the troopers under our command that has broken the law and betrayed public trust. His photograph is going to be displayed somewhere in here. This is Trooper Tremaine Jackson. He's been with the agency for about 13 years. Trooper Jackson was using his position as an Arizona State Trooper to bargain leniency for favor. As the director of this agency, I implore anyone who has had contact with Trooper Jackson, who may have been affected by contact with him, who may have been victimized either through commentary or through physical action by Trooper Jackson, to please come forward and let us know about your inappropriate experience. This event started on May 19th, where we received a first initial complaint about some inappropriate comments by Trooper Jackson to a female motorist. While we were investigating that May complaint, on June 11th, we received a second complaint, this one also alleging inappropriate commentary and then also criminal behavior to the extent of sexual abuse. Trooper Jackson was immediately removed from duty, placed on administrative leave. An investigation was kicked off through our Special Investigation Unit, where we began to contact other women who had been stopped or cited by Trooper Jackson. To that end, we have identified 8 victims at this point who have had inappropriate or commentary or inappropriate contact with Trooper Jackson. Trooper Jackson has been relieved of duty. He will be booked into the Madison Street Jail with the following charges pending, and they'll come up on the screen here in a minute. As you can see, there's many felonies, many charges, and we believe that this may not be all of our victims. I'll take a few questions. I will then turn it over to Sergeant Lee, who will talk about our hotline and our website for anybody who would like to come forward and tell us anything else that was happened during the contact. The temerity of Trooper Jackson is horrifying, and our job now is to respond appropriately.
Colonel, two-part question. Were
Yes.
all 8 victims women? And then as part of that, were all 8 victims interacting with him when he was in uniform, or were some of them when he was not working with the state?
The question was all 8 victims female, and the answer to that is yes. The second part was he in uniform and in his official capacity, and the answer to that is yes. He was either on his police motor or in a marked or unmarked Arizona Department of Public Safety trooper car.
When was he placed on leave?
He was placed on leave on June 11th of this year, the same day that the complaint came in alleging the criminal conduct.
I see there's 8 counts of forgery on there. What was exactly allegedly forged in this case?
The forgery stems from him falsifying departmental worksheets or citations.
And what did that entail?
I got to be a little careful with this. We're looking for other victims. I don't want to give too much detail, but it had to do with the amount of time at a particular location.
How much can you talk about the kidnapping allegations?
The kidnapping allegations stem from him keeping people an inordinate amount of time and not allowing them to free to leave when they were not under arrest.
And can we pinpoint a time where they detained a half hour or?
I'm going to leave that a little vague because as we're going to interview other people. Part of this is the modus operandi, the MO. We don't want to give too much of that information out to the public as we would like to make sure that those MOs match as we talk to other potential victims.
Along those lines, can you explain fraudulent schemes and what exactly the background is on that?
I cannot do that at this time, sir. I'm sorry.
Sexual extortion, same.
He was using his positional authority to extort sexual favor from these traffic stops, from the women of these of the traffic stops.
Colonel, just to make clear, and I think you alluded to it at the start, but if they did that, they would get a lighter punishment for whatever violation, or can you expand on that?
I don't know that I can go much further than that. I'm sorry. I think you'll have to draw your own conclusions on that. But yes, he was using positional authority to bargain for leniency.
And when you found out about this investigation, what was your reaction?
We are horrified. We're absolutely horrified that, look, most of us in here are parents, or we have loved ones who are female, and to think that under the color of authority, the trust that the public places on the shoulders of law enforcement is betrayed by a single trooper that tarnishes the reputation of an agency or of a profession and victimizes women on a traffic stop is horrifying.
What kind of public record documents are you referring to in the charges? Are we talking about citations or these actual documents?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand your question.
Tampering with a public record, what does that mean? Is that, what kind of documents?
They're internal documents that we use for keeping track of activity.
He was placed on leave on June 11th. How far back did, according to the investigation, do the abuse, or did the abuse begin?
So June 11th, we had the first allegation of criminal activity. He was placed on administrative leave. When we started querying all of the people the females that he had stopped before, we started a query back to them and interviewing them to find out if they had what the contact with Trooper Jackson was like. I think the oldest allegation that we know of goes back to October 29th of 2018.
And for lack of a better term, how physical, I mean, you have 2 counts of sexual abuse here. How physical were these cases?
The question is, how physical were the cases? They're enough to charge the crime. Again, just because of the MO issues, I don't want to get into that, the modus operandi issues. But obviously, it was enough to charge Trooper Jackson with these crimes.
So they were sexual favors?
That is correct.
Was he disciplined in relation to the May 19th complaint?
No, there was no discipline ever levied off of this until today.
Do you think body cameras would have prevented this?
The question was, do I think body cameras would prevent this? And the answer is probably not. The cameras can be manipulated to some degree that would allow people to do other inappropriate things. Again, we spend an inordinate amount of time going through the hiring process and how we hire people, the policy that we write, and the training that we provide ongoing throughout the troopers' professional life here. There's always room for improvement. We continue to revise and look at ways that we can be better at what we do. But it's very difficult to know that in the middle of a career that somebody might go sideways and do something inappropriate. To that end, I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Lee, and he is going to walk you through the hotline and our numbers. Thank you guys for being here and reporting this incident.
Thank you, Colonel. So as Director Milstead said, we're not going to be able to go much more beyond what he has already provided you. What we wanted to get out of this, though, today is we do believe there are additional victims out there, and we have provided a couple of ways for those victims to come forward. The first one is a telephone number that is going to be monitored by detectives throughout the day. If the call comes in the evening, they will be directed to our duty office and sent directly to the detectives on this case. The second way is they can actually go online. We've created a tip line specifically for this case, azdps.gov/Jackson. where they can fill out that information. That information is sent again directly to investigators on that case. So if you have had any contact with Trooper Jackson that you felt victimized by the end of that contact, we would please implore you to come forward so that we can talk to you and get your statement. Other than that, that's all that we have. Thank you.
Where does he work? What part of the state, what district, where?
So he was recently assigned to the Metro Motors District, so here in the Phoenix area.
When will he be booked?
He will be booked a little bit later on today.
You said recently assigned when? When was he assigned to?
That was his last, when he was placed on leave June, I believe 11th, that was his last assignment.
What about October 2018? Was he there? at
He was
that time?
still there at that time, yes. So,
Could you put the photo back up on the screen?
yes, John, can you please put that photo back up?